Hello, Masters of the Forge listeners. This is Adam speaking. I just wanted to drop a little note at the beginning of this episode. So, for a while, I've had a big issue with this old computer of mine, and it was impossible to record without the computer locking up after like a minute of recording. So, this episode was recorded on my cell phone, because we really wanted to get the episode out. And in the past, my Samsung has been a really, actually, fairly decent recording device, but this time it did not do very well. The audio is very hollow. I tried to coax a little bit of body out of the recording, but it's still not great. So just try to give it a listen. But if it's unbearable, obviously, there's no point in continuing to torture yourself. But it's not too bad, and the information is really great, and the game was really fun. So I recommend you at least give it a try. And I apologize, but this new computer is awesome. Really excited about it, and it's a laptop, so I can actually take it places, and I don't have to. In the past we were stuck playing at my house, and not only that, but we had to get up and walk into the office to record between every turn. It was really annoying, but now I can pretty much record anywhere. So great things going forward. But for now, please stay tuned for our episode on Apocalypse. Thank you. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Masters of the Forge, Altar of War. Now, normally we record these and put them on the Freebooters Network, but this time around for Apocalypse, we felt like it would be cool to give y'all a taste of what it's like to listen to an Altar of War episode. Also, we didn't get a chance to put out a prototypes episode for Apocalypse simply due to the fact that my computer ate a big turd and died. Well, it didn't die, it's gotten to the point where it can't run Audacity, and that's the worst. So we're recording this on my phone for the last time, because I pitched a fit, I threw a tantrum, and Wendy heard me, and she's like, I'm buying you a new computer. And she bought me a new laptop, which is like 3 times the computer that the desktop was. So I will be able to record remotely with this laptop without a problem, and record in the back here. It'll be really nice. But for now, this episode's going to sound like poo. But that's fine. I have my friend John here with me. Hi, John.
Hi.
John goes by Skip on some forums, back when there used to be forums.
Back in the old days.
Back in the old days. So John and I are going to be playing a game in the Somnium Stars campaign, the independent character Somnium Stars campaign. We're going to be playing over the resource world of Desparation. John, you left your sound on.
Oh, I thought that was dinging every time you said Desperation.
Anyways, the resource world of Desperation, both the Orcs and the Imperium currently have beachheads, and the Orcs are very scandalized by that fact, so we're assaulting your prefabricated bunker that you have sitting on top of the Sky Shield landing pad over there on your side of the battlefield. There's a couple cargo containers over there.
It works for assaulting beachheads because it is 95 degrees outside.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we should swim between rounds. Anyways, the other half of the tables are split by a muddy, busted up river. I guess it's more of a stream. It would be a river if it were Texas. Anyways, the other side of that river, there's a couple of alien woods and a couple of hills. And we have a few ancient alien buildings that are basically made of bricks.
So that's what we have. We're going to be playing Apocalypse. It's 300 power level per side, which is between 5,000 and 6,000 points if all you know are points. John has the Astra Militarum, and I have the Orks. So we're not going to do any of the weird deployments. We're going to use the regular deployment rules. We're using Vanguard Strike for the deployment because I couldn't make a 6-foot by 6-foot table. I don't really have the boards to do that kind of table, so I did a 8-foot by 4-foot, and so a diagonal deployment will allow us to kind of deploy more, have that wider field. Even though it's a pain in the butt. You do still start 12 inches from each other, or from the center. This one does some of the missions. The deployment zones are like abutted right up against each other, which is really interesting. I'd be interested to see that.
I think you would with an assault army.
Yes, I would be fine with that. The mission we're going to play is the Field of Glory, which I think kind of represents, in a good way, kind of us trying to hold our respective territories and gain ground throughout the day. It's 3 objectives, one in the center, one in each deployment zone, 12 inches or 12 inches away from battlefield edges. And then it's consecutive scoring. So whoever kind of is holding the battlefield, whoever has more points basically represents the one who has the fortitude to hold out. The other army immediately kind of retreats after that. The twist, however, is orbital debris. Apparently, as we were coming in, the Imperium did have some orbital guns that they dropped, some prefab orbital guns that they dropped into their beachhead, and they lanced a few of the Orc ships to pieces as we were coming in, unfortunately. So now orbital debris is falling from the sky.
Oh, ship! Watch out! Ship, because it's falling.
I'm going to hit... Which leg do you want me to hit? Your bad leg or your good leg?
The one with the torn muscle.
That's the answer?
I mean, if that's what you want. My torn muscle.
Alright. So the Orc Assault consists of a battalion with 2 weird boys, 6 units of 30 boys, 3 of them with shootas, a knob with a waw banner, a unit of mega knobs, Mad Doc. He's not the real Mad Doc. He's just some other Mad Doc. He's a pain boss.
He's an angry podiatrist.
Yes. 10 tank busters and 2 trucks. The Vanguard detachment is Snickrot and 3 units of 15 commandos. The spear. I have a couple spearheads here. One is led by the Big Mac. The Big Mac is my War Master. I rolled for my warlord. If every model in your army shares a keyword with your War Master, you get to roll on the War Master table. I rolled Relic Force Field. For 1 save per damage phase, I get to use a D12 instead of a D6 for my saves, which is pretty nice. In that spear... Oh, he's got the shock attack. In that spearhead, I have 10 Gretchen with a run herd. I have 4 big tracks with super cannons. I've got a lift-a-wagon, which I've never even used in 40k before. And then in my other spearhead, I have a Death Killer War Trike as the warlord of that one. A Morkanaut and 3 Gorkanauts. Then I have 2 super heavy auxiliary detachments, which has a Kill Blasta and a Kill Bursta in each one. So very much a tank heavy force.
Which makes sense for an orc attacking force. But you say tank heavy, but there's still like 200 infantry.
Yes, there are. I think it's almost exactly.
Yeah.
It's just it's a little more than 200 infantry. I'm going to hate myself.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk about movement trays. You're gonna want to get movement trays.
I'm gonna need some movement trays.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some movement trays, okay?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Apocalypse. I need to move those units around, those big units around. Each model needs to be within half an inch of 2 other models when you're moving them around. You don't lose actual models as you take damage in this game, but you can still kind of squid like jellyfish around things, amoeba around stuff with your big units.
It's from what I saw when I was watching some of the mini wargaming and Glacier Geek videos online on the YouTubes. It almost struck me like a King of War type setup where the unit isn't really a unit. The unit is a marker for that unit.
Yeah.
Which makes sense in Apocalypse because when we've played it in the past, it bogs down when you're trying to fire every last gun.
Yeah, it's not great. So we're going to be doing that. So those attachments are interesting. I really didn't I put thought narratively into how they're set up. You can have 3 of those main detachments one main detachment. For every main detachment, you can have 3 secondary detachments.
Mm-hmm.
And John, there's a wasp out there.
Yeah,
He was knocking on the door.
Can I be real? That bugged me.
Every 3 goes on the bad leg.
Okay.
So I think my battalion's a little big.
I want to say phrasing, but I'm going to restrict myself.
I'm just a little worried that I won't be able to keep all the units in that detachment within 12 inches of my warlord.
You can always switch it up right now.
I'm gonna play it and see how it goes. I'll probably put that warlord inside one of the trucks, and you can measure from the hull of the truck.
Well, that makes sense.
So that's good. We'll see how that goes. What did you bring, John?
Well,
you have a super sweet setup here with your papers.
Yeah, the teacher in me.
Uh-huh.
What I did is I set it up where I could divide out the list because we want to do another APOC game in August.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I would make it out so it'd be easy to parcel out my IG army to other folks that show up and might not have a 40K collection.
Yeah.
I want to play a kind of a classic APOC list.
Mm-hmm.
But I got 3 super heavy auxiliary detachments. I got Stormlord and 2 Shadow Swords. Then I have here a Spearhead detachment. I have a Knight Commander Pask and a Vanquisher. I have a Salamander Command Tank. I have 2 Leman Russ Punishers, 3 standard Leman Russ battle tanks with battle cannons and last cannons, and a Leman Russ Vanquisher tank as well. I have an Air Wing detachment with 2 Vulture gunships and an Avenger Strike Fighter.
You're definitely going to have air superiority.
I'm down with that.
I can't wait I really want to try out using the
Looted
Thunderhawk. That thing is awesome.
I have here a group for Vanguard detachment. I have a Commissar, Officer of the Fleet, and a bunch of Ministorum priests.
They're so angry.
I just have I don't know why I just had 4 priests. I'm like, all right, that goes in the list because I was trying to get up to the 300.
Right. But they're angry, that's why.
Yeah, they do. And they give you +1 attack for any friendly Adeptus Ministorum or Astra Militarum infantry within 6 inches of this dude. So that could come in handy. I have another Spearhead detachment with company command. I'm the worst. A company commander, who is my warlord. I have a Master of Ordnance, an Earthshaker artillery support platform, 2 Armageddon pattern basilisks, 2 wyverns.
It looks so cool.
And
you should
heavy weapons
see his army arrayed before me. It is definitely going to be a big tank versus tank battle plus 200 boys. 240. Wait.
Yeah, you got a lot.
245.
You guys can't see this.
Characters.
He's literally doing math.
255 plus 240.
He's drawing it in the air.
Yeah, all those symbols are appearing around my head. Yeah, I have 250 infantry models.
That's good luck moving them. Chess clock. I have another for my infantry squads. I have 1 unit of 1 battalion that has 4 infantry squads with a company commander, and I have another unit that has 3 infantry squads, and they have the Commissar Lord.
Nice.
So it's definitely not as many orcs or as many guardsmen as there are orcs. I only have 70 guardsmen and a few officers here and there.
Right.
But it's 8 Leman Russ battle tanks, 5 artillery, 3 super heavy, 3 flyers, and 1 Salamander Command Tank. So it's pretty much my entire guard collection that I painted.
We haven't spent an evening together in a long time. This is going to be nice.
I'm
going to like this. I hope your girlfriend.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah.
No, I'm just wondering if that's the status we're at.
Yeah, it is the status we're at.
Okay. I'm hoping your girlfriend understands that she's not going to see you.
No, she knows that I'm going out to play with all my little toys.
Now, if she wants to come swim, you can tell her to come swim.
I'll let her know.
Okay. No, you don't. So everybody, just to let you know, you can go online, look at mini wargaming videos, watch the how to play video from Games Workshop. There's no need for us to go into huge detail about every single like all the rules and everything. I think I want to make this just a normal, fun battle report episode, and I suggest you go back and watch some of those how to play videos, then listen to this if you haven't yet. Or
I would definitely suggest watching the mini wargaming video on Apocalypse. They did a great one, a great couple episodes actually already on it, and they really walk you through it.
Yeah, but we are going to go into detail about the things that mattered in the game and the things that struck us, or maybe stuff that we didn't realize. Like, for example, John didn't realize that in order for a model to be counted as a warlord, it had to be a character. Mm-hmm. So you had a Supreme Command attachment, of which you can only have one, but you decided to split that up and put those characters in some of the spearheads and vanguards and stuff so that they would have a warlord.
Bingo, because I didn't realize how important it is to have a warlord or a character set in every single detachment.
Yeah.
Because you want to stay within command. So...
And you also want to generate those resources, the command resources, because those can swing the game.
Especially for like a large army that can get those detachments like guard.
Right.
You want to use that as much as humanly possible.
Right. One thing I'm really concerned about right now is the fact that characters are not protected in this game like they are in 40K. It's just a -1 to hit them if they're not the closest. That irks me somewhat. There's a warlord or there's a war master trait for it that makes them basically that. I'm really concerned about that. I think that might create some not fun situations. I almost feel like the war master should automatically get that. But I want to play the game first and try it out and see what it's like.
But we have enough line of sight blocking here.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Like you can put your company commander behind one of those feet, and I can stick my. Let's be honest, the shock attack gun.
He might just hide out in the Stormlord. Like
that's true. That's true. He might actually. Actually, I have a bunch of transports with open top. I'll just put them at open top transport.
There you go.
Then you can just kill the transport. Okay, so we're gonna roll off for priority to see who deploys the first the first attachment.
All right, you rolled a 10. I rolled a 9.
All right.
I got close.
All right, we'll come back after deployments. All right, deployment's been completed. We selected our assets and stuff, our cards. 30 cards is a lot. Like it's legitimately a lot. Like I had to use cards from all the different clans, not just my own clan. But at the bottom of each card, you can use this card for something like generic. Yeah. So what does yours say?
So here, I'll give you an example. So Astra Militarum Stormtroopers, which I don't have any in the army. So it gives you this really cool thing for the Militarum Tempestus, and then it says, alternatively, if you're not cool enough to run Militarum Tempestus, it's just really mean. This command asset can be used after making the hit rolls for an attack made by an Astra Militarum unit from your army. When used, reroll that hit roll. So, like, they're little bonuses.
It's like a little free reroll thing, basically. Okay, yeah, so that's cool. But I picked all the cool stuff from the Orc one. You picked all the cool stuff from Astra Militarum. And then we have those extra ones. And then we kind of split the Apocalypse ones. It really behooves you to have a set of cards for each side.
Yeah, I think what'll happen is when you go to make an army, you'll definitely want that set of cards, which you can conveniently buy.
Yeah, you can get just the cards. You don't have to buy the full Apocalypse box set.
Bingo.
It really helps.
Yeah.
I think.
And, I mean, you'll have that deck already set. I mean, we were just talking 300 power level kind of stretches it to where, like, one person could be in control of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think we could. Well, let's think about how much time it would take at the end of the game. We'll see.
Yeah.
But certainly space-wise, if you're playing one of those scenarios that has 12 inches from the center of the battlefield, like a full 24-inch deployment zone, or sorry, no man's land, 300 is about all you're going to fit on an 8-foot table.
Yeah.
Which
yeah. Makes sense from our previous uses of APOC.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you're going to play one of the standard missions, which I think almost all of them you deploy right next to each other, then I think you can go up to like 500 power level without too much of an issue.
Yeah.
And how many cards you draw? I think these cards, the 30 cards, are intended for like one person playing and one other person. Oh, Quinn wants to say hello to everybody. Yes, he's helping us deploy. He did a good job, Barton, and he's still not the stinkiest one in the room, so that's good. Dude, your army looks so great arrayed across the battlefield.
Thank you.
And I'm loving the way mine's looking. Okay, so my deployment, I'll tell you what I did. I deployed the battalion first because that was the one that's most models and would be most difficult to keep everything in command. If you have a unit that starts the turn out of command and ends the movement phase out of command, you just remove it because it's basically run away. So I deployed that. You helped me deploy that battalion with a bunch of movement trays that we had and stuff. And those guys are sitting there with the weird boy as the warlord of that battalion, sitting in a truck with some tank busters. There's a truck with another weird boy and the knob with Wa Banner and mega knobs off to the side of that as well. Then you countered that by placing your artillery company?
Yep, so what I did is I placed down my artillery company in the back field first.
All right, and then after you did that, I placed my super heavy auxiliary detachment, and then you
placed all of my super heavies.
Yep, and I did the same thing. I returned with my second super heavy auxiliary detachment. Then I placed my spearhead with boom guns. It's got like 4 boom guns. The lift-a-wagon, which is basically a crane, super awesome. It's the Goliath truck with the crane on top. That's the first time that's been used as a lift-a-dropper, so that'll be fun. And my weird boy, my Big Mech, which is my War Master, I put him actually in one of the super heavy, in the kill burst, because the kill burst is going to be moving with the spearhead detachment. And he has 10 grots in there to keep him company. And then you returned by placing
my spearhead detachment.
The tank company as well. Nice. Cool. It's very much a tank versus tank thing, except for the last detachment I placed, which is the Deathkiller Wartrike with his 3 Gorkanauts and a Morkanaut. So that's cool. That's cool. Those guys are on my left flank. You're going to be coming at your right flank towards your super heavies. So it behooves you to try to wreck those before they get in close combat, because it's not going to be great.
No, it's going to be a bad day.
Then you place the rest of your army, which consists of like the infantry and the air wing, which you had trouble placing, actually.
Yeah, I should have placed the air wing before I placed the infantry. You know, this definitely reminded me of when you're trying to deploy an army like a Gilliman gun line or something like that in 40K, where you want that Aurora. Except in this case, if you don't have that specific 12 inches, you're done. So I mean, definitely already from just deploying. If I want to keep doing more big APOC with my guard like this, I'm going to need a few more company commanders.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need those little HQ Nexus dudes.
Yep, and I'm interested right after this, before before we start, I definitely want to see what the rules are for your airborne units, because I feel like they could end up dead real quick. I hope that they're a little easier to maneuver in Apocalypse than in a regular game, because the board's going to get full really fast. I've got the whole detachment of commandos in Deep Strike, commandos with Snickrot. I've hired them on as hired hands. Now, that is another thing we wanted to mention. The Universal Special Rules are basically back in this game.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of Universal Special Rules. Deep Strike is one of them. Open Top is one of them. I have Open Top vehicles, stuff like that. I think some of these things, it does kind of make sense to have the Universal Special Rules.
Especially if they're going to let you basically download every data sheet for free.
Yeah,
you're going to need somewhere where those rules are in compendium.
And in 40K, you drill down. Everything is very, very unique and specific, and you can have unique rules for every unit if you want to. In Apocalypse, you don't want that. You want everything to be as generic as possible to make the games as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But still be immersive. We'll see how immersive it is. This will be fun.
We have two beautifully painted armies.
Yeah, that's my favorite part. These pictures are going to be gorgeous. We'll post them on the Facebook page.
Just don't get my face in them. It'll be fine with the gorgeous.
All right, we're going to roll to see who has priority. I rolled a 3.
Oh, I should have had that
for me.
With an 8.
Yes. Okay. John starts turn 1 with priority. It's really great. There's a neat rules reference in the back for turn sequence. So we have the initiative phase. We roll d12, see who has the initiative. Orders phase. Mark units that are out of command. I'm reading this because I don't have it memorized. Mark units that are out of command first. Right now, nothing should be out of command, but it could be. Set up tactical reserves units as reinforcements. Alternate, beginning with the player who has initiative. Then generate command assets. Finally, issue order to each detachment by placing a face-down order marker to each of your commanders. So we're not going to do this every turn, but I want to go through each of the phases and our thoughts on them for this turn 1, just to see what our reaction is to it, okay?
Makes sense. And, over time, that's going to just become second nature.
It will. It will. But since this is an introductory game, I'd like to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So we'll be right back after the orders phase. All right. Well, we've finished our orders phase. First, I brought the commandos in with Snickrot.
Hiding in cargo.
They were hiding in the cargo containers, 9 inches away from your front line of infantry there.
Technically, wouldn't that be a produce container?
Probably, yeah. So it's 3 15-man units of commandos with Snickrot in command radius. So after you bring in reserves, you take turns bringing in reserves, going from person with priority to person not with priority, but I was the only one with reserves, so I placed all 4 units over there.
I laid it all off the table.
Mm-hmm. I drew 5 command assets. You drew 6. Mm-hmm. You keep these secret.
I would not do that.
I don't remember what you said anyway, so that's fine. So we'll set those aside. After that, you give out order tokens to. So I think you won't be surprised when you see that I have selected the advance.
The assault?
Yes, the assault command for the commandos. I have selected the assault command for the battalion. Mainly because I just want the speed, because I need to get stuck in with you. I have selected the aim, I think it is?
Yeah, aimed fire.
Aimed fire for the spearhead with my War Master. I've also selected the aimed fire for the Kill Blasta. The Kill Bursta. Mm-hmm. The Kill Blasta just has what is that one? The green one?
Move forward, advance.
Yeah, it's just that one's just move and shoot or move and attack, your choice. And then lastly, the spearhead over here with the Gorkanauts and the Morkanauts, they are also assaulting. because they're just so far away on the far flank that they need to get forward. The Gorkanauts and Morkanauts are super heavy, so they still get to shoot if they advance, I believe. So that'll be good for them. All right, what orders did you do?
I have my flyers advancing, so they'll crash and burn. My guardsmen are going to move as well as shoot or advance. My super heavies are going to aim fire, try to whittle you down a little bit this round. My artillery battery is going to also aim fire. The battalion that's in the bastion over here is going to aim fire as well.
I'd really like to quickly talk about garrisoning. Garrisoning is easy now. I think you can still like kind of move through terrain if you want to, but if you want to garrison it, all you have to do is move within 6 inches of it and say, I'm garrisoning, completely within 6 inches. And as long as your units can fit physically, you just pick them up and put them there. There's no more unit coherency in or out of the terrain. Just if you can fit all the models in, you can do it.
And the last big unit here, my tank company, they are going to sit and shoot.
Oh, very nice. All right.
It's the great thing. Guard, stand here, fire. Orcs just run forward. And if I can cut them down enough, we'll see. Let's put some blast markers down.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So
because it's going to be a blast.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
You're literally the worst. All right, let's move on to the action phase. I think in bigger games of Apocalypse, I think a lot of people are going to be doing their action phases kind of simultaneously.
Yeah.
But I think this game really is meant to be played with a couple of people. It's not really meant to be played in a giant room full of people, really.
Well, I mean,
or you could set it up by war zones, maybe?
The game is going to break down if you have 9 people on each side. I mean, we've had how many APOC games where that's just happened with the old version.
And I think this version isn't going to be much different.
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and starting with me, we will go ahead and do the action phase. Turn 1 has concluded, and we learned a lot about the game.
We did.
Really good. Like, I completely forgot that if you do an aim shot, you get a +1 to hit. So that's cool, and I forgot orcs explode their hits in close combat and shooting, so that's cool. But, John, let me rewind that. We did a lot of rewinding that turn. So what I did was I shoved forward with my commandos right into your front lines and crashed in there.
Right into my face.
So if you deep strike, you're gonna. If you deep strike and you do a
advance,
not advance,
assault,
yeah. you're gonna get there. There's no, you just do. And I think for Apocalypse, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because you don't want to deep strike and then have your commandos literally like, all right, I missed it by an inch.
Yeah, no, that's not fun.
No.
I surged forward with my boys, but I really hemmed myself in with those guys. And you also hemmed me in by flying all 3 of your flyers right in front of them, which made it hard to get through. Even though I was moving 12 inches with those boys, I was still having a hard time maneuvering around. And so the 3 squads of shooter boys, which were in behind, who I really wanted to get forward and shoot this turn, they're going to be kind of stuck.
Yeah, my goal last turn was when I saw the deployment, because it's like that weird Vanguard, like diagonal deployment. I'm like, if I can kind of blunt your edge along the left flank as much as I can, that'll delay you getting to me for at least another turn or 2.
Yeah.
And then allow me to really maximize my shooting.
Right.
And then that way, hopefully, I can start pushing the middle once the majority of the boys and the super heavy walkers are gone.
Yeah.
Because the one thing this army does not have at all whatsoever, any form of close combat.
Right.
So I was able to get a Titan kill on a
Gorkanaut, yeah, with your super lasers. And that was in morale, actually.
Yeah.
One of my strategies was to spread out the damage as much as I could with morale. I could have easily killed one of your Shadow Sword, not your Shadow Sword, but your, what is that? Stormlord with morale, but you rolled a 1. That was cool. And your Commissar helped keep a unit of guardsmen alive for another turn, but another one ran away to cease to be Arthur's squad of commandos, which is good for me. So the boys are searching. You completely decimated 2 units of 30 boys.
Yeah, your strategy going in was to spread out the shooting, to force morale checks, to force me to start to lose guys in morale. And if it wasn't for that roll of a 1 on that Stormlord, this would be very different right now. Yeah. My objective was just playing orcs for as long as I have.
Yeah.
Or at least against orcs. You got to overkill them.
Yeah.
And especially that you don't really diminish in effectiveness or squad size. I got to start clearing bodies off this field. Right. And when you said the boys' squads, I believe, had 4 wounds?
6 wounds.
6 wounds. And I'm like, all right, that means I got to get 6 big blast markers on each unit just to get
a 10 plus save, so you can't make that on a 6 plus, which is what you need, or you can't make that on a D6.
No. So that was kind of my goal last turn, was to try to mitigate your ability to save your boys as much as possible.
Right.
And wiping out 60 in 1 turn, it sounds great on paper, but I'm looking at another 150 right now.
Yeah. So the airplane, I killed 1 airplane. The cool thing about the transports is when you disembark 6 inches out, completely within 6 inches. So I have a squad of Mega Knobs and a Knob with Wildbrand within assault range of some infantry and your Stormlord. I think I'm just going to throw some light arms fire at that Stormlord because reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do hold the center objective, obviously. I do have a unit of 30 boys next to it, so I do have 2 points for this turn. Let's see what we can do. We're gonna stop here, and we're just going to go ahead and do the entire turn 2 and see how much carnage is wreaked. I did want to say we did notice that the damage phase, it is important which detachments go first in the action phase, because that mattered for your demolisher cannons and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to pick the right unit to move at the right detachment to use at the right time. But the damage phase, as long as you trust your friends to not cheat at Warhammer, especially Apocalypse, why would you do that? Your life is terrible.
If they're cheating, they're not your friends.
And also their lives are sad, so just let them cheat. You can do all your damage and morale. You can do the whole damage phase at the same time, simultaneously. That makes this so much faster. The fact that you don't need to interact with your friend. So if your friend is doing their action phase with a huge artillery bombardment, just let them know if you have any minuses to hit and figure out any line of sight for obscuring.
Well,
which we forgot to do on some of the guys. That's fine. And you can go to the bathroom while they do their shooting, and they can just place blast markers. You can come back and say, oh yeah, look at all these blast markers. You don't need to, you want to interact with your friends, but if you need to go do something, like I went to deal with Quinn, put him away, put him to bed and stuff, you were able to sit there and do some shooting. Because there's no reason not to, because your friends aren't going to cheat you.
But it also goes back to, from our past experience with Apocalypse, what has taken the longest in every game? When you've had, let's say, last summer, you and Jason were piloting your 30,000 points of orcs. Yeah. And it was myself, Mike, and Phil on the other side. And just trying to shoot at something was, okay, one person go. Because the other person had to immediately react with armor saves. In this case, an entire team can go, okay, we're going to fire at this. Let's put as many large blasts on this target as possible.
Yeah.
And the only thing you need your opponent for is there a minus, yes or no?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, there's probably not going to be a minus.
Yeah, and you could even say, okay, we're going to start from this flank, and we're going to start from this flank and work our way to the middle, so you can actually have some action, some detachments going simultaneously, just so far away that it doesn't matter. where you're like, okay, Phil, do your Basilisk battery before everybody else. All right, now let's, because it doesn't matter because the damage markers. Okay, so we're going to stop here. We're going to do turn 2, and we'll be right back. Turn 2 is completed. Wow.
A lot of things happened.
Your front lines became an incredible grind as you. I chose to go with the commandos first because I knew. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I used the
seize
seize the initiative card, and I'll tell you what. I have basically 2. Like there's a Blood Axes one that's also the same thing, but for Blood Axes.
Well, here's the thing: is radio doesn't convey how you looked up at me with this evil twinkle in your eye.
Yeah.
And you were like, "What you gonna do first, there, buddy?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll do this." You go, "No, I'm gonna go first. Roll the 6." That's fine. It's all right.
Yeah, that's great. You zoom forward with your airplanes and put a lot. I just wiped out another unit of boys. I tried shooting up at them with the boys, but they didn't do much. I feel like this system really does very much simulate 40K on a bigger level. I feel like the wounds are comparable,
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's great is we're not rolling a bucket of dice to get a wound on something.
Yeah, and I can sit on the chair with the book. That's what we were doing. I was sitting in the book looking stuff up while you rolled dice, and you were putting your own blast markers on while I was you're like, oh, can you look up this? I'm like, okay. At first I was like, I really miss not having to worry about special rules, like universal special rules. I'm like, I have to look this up every time. But had we been thinking about it, one person can sit there holding the book, looking everything up, while the other person does the stuff.
And it's not like the old 6th edition or 7th edition universal special rules where there's a million different ones and they all do the same thing. There's 4.
Yeah.
And if you've been, that term grognard, you've been in this hobby for a while, you already know what all these things do.
Yep. Yeah.
But I mean, it goes back to that game design philosophy of yet no you can't, or yes you can.
Yeah.
And it just seems like so far everything in Apocalypse is, yeah, you can do that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
And I mean, it just makes it for a much more fun experience. I mean, we were just talking, once we got into the groove of things with turn 2 for 6,000 points on the board maybe took us 25 minutes.
Yeah. It was really fast. So I think one of my key features of turn 2 was the psychic powers. My weird boys. I had 2 weird boys, and they're both within 10. They had 10 models within 12 inches, or 10 or 12 inches of them, and it let me pull 6 cards out of the deck and just keep all of the psychic powers, which I could use. It was amazing, and I did manage to jump. There was a squad of boys way in the back that were just stuck. They were even out of command range, and I moved them forward and then to jump them forward, and they helped destroy.
But you're not conveying the drama that occurred, because you looked at me and you said, "Do you have something that you can stop the jump with?" I go, "Oh yeah, I have a Deny the Witch on a 2+," and we both knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. I'm just smiling. I'm like, John knows he's going to roll a 1.
Yeah, it's what's going to happen, and immediately rolled a 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the 2 Shadow Swords, as they've been doing all game, wiped out another Gorkanaut, which did manage to put a wound on both of the Morkanaut and the Gorkanaut.
I like that.
So I have a Morkanaut and a Gorkanaut left, and the Deathkiller Wartrike. You were thinking about shooting at some characters, but you haven't yet.
Yeah.
So I've got some wounds spread out over your super heavies, but I haven't really done a whole lot there, and I don't have any more. You wiped out a lot of commandos on your left flank, so your entire tank company is free to shoot this turn, and they will. Do you want to roll for priority? I think we're real. Now we know. I think the priority really matters a lot.
You
How
know
about
what? That's
12?
fine. I rolled a 5. That's okay.
Do you want to try to seize the initiative?
I did roll a 6.
On a 12.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna go to. Well, I think turn 3 might be the last turn. If not, well, anyways, at any rate, we'll be back after turn 3. Turn 3 is over. It's getting late, so we're going to call it here. I think the writing is on the wall, considering it's a progressive game. I think it would matter a lot more if it were one of those games where you score at the end, because then you could. So what happened was we both wiped out most of the infantry that was smashing into the front line, but in reality, I was able to just keep you penned in long enough to stop you from scoring.
Bingo. Without any kind of really good close combat support in this army, you were basically able to pop up in my face with the commandos.
Yeah.
And then I just wasn't able to deal with them once you tied me up a little bit.
I mean, let's be honest. You did fall back and shoot them and everything, but it just wasn't enough. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a really good game. It's really telling me that in APOC, you're going to need a more well-rounded type force. You can't just rely on just the shooting alone.
Right. My army certainly was far more well-rounded.
Yeah.
I had a lot of different types of units. I had huge mobs of things, but I also had some pretty decent shooting support and whatnot. So, I think my well-rounded army did help me quite a bit. If you had bigger mobs of infantry...
I think if I had, maybe a Knight Gallant or two.
Oh, yeah.
Or a big group of Ogren. I think
Ogren would be nice.
I think then it might have been a little bit different, because then I would have been able to break out of that initial pen.
Yeah.
But, you held the middle with 200-something orcs just swarming the objective.
Just flash over the objective, making sure. I think that tank, well, at the end I had 3 resource cards, the Death Skulls one for targeting a super heavy, and one...
Well, that was a great combo.
Yeah, it was just re-rolling attacks plus 1 to hit, and everything is destroyer. So I put 6 large blast markers. I put 12 blast markers on a Shadow Sword in 1 turn.
And then I looked right at you and went, did you like that? Was it good? And you went, yeah,
that was great.
And then I rolled. I had one of my cards, Armor of Contempt, and I still rolled it all on D12s.
Yeah, no, that's good. It looks like all the armies have something like that in there.
The cards themselves, they don't feel like they drive the game. They just enhance the fun, and it's a great thing to be able to turn to somebody and hey, this card, what you wanted to do, no.
I mean, in a big game like this, 1 unit, it's let him take 12 D12s on his saves. Why not, right? 1 more airplane fell. So there's just the 1 Avenger Strike Fighter left. There's just 1 Gorkanaut left who's about to crash into combat. The boys are still holding the middle. I don't think your tanks would ever be able to... your tanks would push in and destroy a bunch of boys, but my tanks would also push in, and I still have the shock attack gun over there doing damage. I think it just the commandos, man. I think they really made the game. Snickrot and his commandos.
They definitely, because my plan was to kill things and move up slowly, and then take the field around turn 3. But being able to pen me in and being like, no, you can't go, that was a huge deal that I just wasn't able to break out, which is perfectly story driven with Orcs and Guard.
I strongly recommend anybody who plays Apocalypse take some of those scouting units in their army. Take some Rattling Snipers. Take some Militarum Tempestas. Take Commandos. Take Rangers. Just take a few things that you can stick out there to stop people from charging your big stuff turn 1.
I noticed you never said Scouts. Why don't you like Scouts?
Because their model is terrible.
Their jawline?
everything about them is terrible. Anyways, that was a really fun game. I feel like the turns 2 and 3 were really fast. I feel like we could definitely play this. Deployment is what kills you, because there's so many models to get out of your bags and onto the table. But at the same time, I feel like this game would have only taken us an hour longer than a regular game of 40K.
Yeah, and that's with learning the rules. And that's with everything else. I mean, the game was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start kind of getting in the groove of things, it's just like normal 40K. You just, I already know what I got to do.
Yeah.
I personally, I printed out and made up all the sheets myself from using the online, so I was able to literally go from one detachment to another with each sheet of paper, because it was all on one piece.
Mm-hmm.
That really helped me out a lot.
Cool. So we're going to say the narrative for this is that the orcs mobbed over the remaining super heavies, which is exactly what's going to happen.
The super heavies went to a farm upstate, I believe.
Yes, exactly. My tanks clashed with your tanks in the middle, blasted each other to pieces.
It was a tankless job.
Yes, I hate you. And, of course,
Armor of Contempt.
A bunch of artillery strong points isn't going to do much against close combat boys. So, that'll be the narrative going forward for the War on Desperation. Thanks for listening, everybody. John, thank you for joining me.
No problem. I had a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next time.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.